There. Okay, Dr. Revis, it's 7:01. I hope others will join, but let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot to cover tonight.
Yay, right? A lot to cover. Well, guys, can you believe you're in week 4 already? It's been a blur, right? I was chatting with Derek before and bragging on his work, and as many of you are really turning the corner on, I think you're finding that routine that we talked about, and you're finding your times when you need to do things, and I think it's really coming together for you. I just want to say, Dr. Stedman, that for task 2, now a lot of you had not had time to have your presentation with your principal, and we told you that that probably would not happen, but you know, I had some really quality work come in for task 2, and guys, it really does show that you are digging in, you are working hard, you are doing, you know, the things that we ask you to do, and so hats off to you. I think you're going to be great. Good. All right, so welcome to week 4.
All right. And again, Dr. Revis, I ditto everything that you've said. I saw many of you, most of you. I saw you turn the corner with the work that was submitted for task 2. I feel like that you've for the most part, you're figuring out your routine, you know, what you've got to do. And so, you know, remember we told you, we said, give it week 3 to 4 in there, that you would begin to feel that transition. And already, the quality of work for task 2 was overall I was pleased with the quality of work, of how they had thought through the process of how they were going to get to that most pressing need, and how you led your team. So a lot of good stuff. With that in mind, and now brag. Now, you know, sometimes you always start out with something good, but then I have to also say too, Dr. Revis, I was pleased with my peer reviews this week, but I was not as pleased with some individuals. You waited to the last minute, you let your guard down, and what I said in the ones, and some of you still owe me something, because I just checked the last ones in just a minute ago that had come in, but you cannot wait to the midnight hour and expect to do what you need to do. So I'm just telling you, in figuring out what your groove and how you're going to do things, you've got to figure that part out as well. And I'm going to tell you, it's not okay to just make a simple sentence and just say, and I'm going to tell you this is very inappropriate. Just like with APA, it appears that APA is correct. Either it is or it ain't. So, you know, that's not appropriate, is it, Dr. Revis? So,
well, what kind of feedback is that? Is that specific?
It isn't feedback. So I gave you the benefit of the doubt this time, and I may have said on there that, you know, this is for the most part, it's appropriate feedback, and I gave you a grade, but I'm going to be stricter next time.
And guys, I agree. I will too. I had several of you who say it appears this, or, you know, it appears that.
I'm not accepting that anymore. I don't want you to say that. It appears, either it is or it isn't. And if it isn't, then you need to provide examples and reasons why it isn't. You need to understand that as the evaluator, as the reviewer. Okay, and it helps you, but it's going to help them. So you've got to step up to the plate with that. I'm not going to beat that dead horse anymore.
Well, yeah. Well,
Okay.
it will help you. It will help you learn APA when you remember it's that reciprocal teaching. And so it will help
Right.
you. The other thing that I want to say, guys, you know, if that work is not in by 9 p.m. on Sunday, and the person you're supposed to review is holding you up, just go ahead and review somebody else's. Don't let people hold you up. You know, I've got a couple of stragglers, and so it's just really not fair. So when when you're late on your work, it's not fair to make other people late on their work. So we're just gonna say, for my class at least,
Me
if
too.
you just go on, and somebody may get 3 peer reviews, and that person who turned in their work late may get 1, maybe. So, let's be mindful that we're in a team here, but also I don't want you to be penalized because somebody else didn't get their work in. Okay.
Exactly. And again, just let us know when you send it in. Just let us know that you had to do somebody else's work. We'll probably already know it because we will not have gotten the work ourselves. But just make us aware.
Mhm.
Make us aware of that. Like I have one that had to do that, and let me know that. But anyway,
May I
with,
say one more thing
yes, ma'am, absolutely.
about your revisions? Here's my routine, guys. And I think I pattern after Dr. Stedman because he's my mentor. We start grading your tasks that are due on Sunday at 9 p.m. We start grading them, and we look every day for them, but Sunday afternoon, we are starting to get it. We are grading as they start to dribble in. Guys, if you're waiting till Sunday afternoon to ask me a question, I'm not checking my email. I'm grading. Okay. And I just can't do 2 things at once. So when I have already given you your revision, and when I try my best, Dr. Stebbins better than on this than I. He tries to get all his feedback Sunday night before he goes to bed. I just can't do that. I usually am up on Monday morning trying to give feedback. But when I give you feedback, you need to try to turn back in any revisions to me by Thursday evening. Okay. Now let me tell you why. I hope you don't have to do any revisions, but we're trying to get you as close to a 4 as we can get you. So if you need to make revisions, it may be small, it may be a lot, get that back to me before Thursday so I can look over it again. You have to submit the final copy on Sunday. Final copy is not a revision. The final copy is where I have said to you, your revision's great if you had to do one, and you're ready to turn it into the AAPSL assignment Dropbox by 9 p.m. If you're just getting a revision to me on Sunday, you're not going to meet that deadline. I can't meet that deadline.
And Dr. Revis, just a reminder that if we send work back for revision, you are not to submit it for a final grade until we have told you that it's ready to be submitted for a final grade. You send it back. And again, when you send it back, and you've done what we do, we change your grade. We go back and we revisit that grade. And so you can get a higher grade the second time on the revision part of it. If you don't do that and you pass go, you don't collect $200, you don't get your grade changed, whatever.
Right.
So on that. So these are just things that we're on your side. We want to help you, but you've still got to do your part. And I know the schedule. We expect you to have your work into us on time. That's no different than if you're in a classroom still, you expect it from your students. So why should we expect any less? And the thing is, we're training you to be principals. We're training you to be administrators. You're going to be accountable to central office staff, to supervisors, to superintendent or whatever. Guess what? And I'm going to use bad grammar again. they ain't gonna wait on you. And if they have to wait on you, then guess what? You won't be in that position very long. Those kinds of things, not meeting deadlines and not having quality work when they ask for it, the first time is that's a no-no. So we are holding you to those high standards now, getting you ready for that. So Dr. Revis, with that in mind, I've preached enough. Have you preached enough on that?
I think we have. I think we have. And guys, what we want you to know is this: we're going to hold you to some high standards, but we'll support you.
Amen. That is right. If we're going,
And
we're not going to amen.
And we're not going to pull the rug out from under you. Now,
No.
if you bypass the process and don't go through the peer review process, or I think the most frustrating thing that I have is when I ask you to revise something and you send it back and it's not revised. Now, I think what happens sometimes in our learning process is you may upload a previous version. And I've had that happen a couple times. Just be careful, because that makes you have to go back and redo it, and then it delays your feedback from me. So just be careful in your drop boxes. And here we are starting week 4. I would just like to encourage everybody to go back and check your grades. I think maybe some of you on that first peer review may have uploaded both of your peer reviews in one Dropbox because I'm missing some. So go back and look at your grades, and you need to be checking them every week, but now's a good time to stop and check. Okay. Thank you.
And Dr. Revis, I have to say this too. We are working in the AAPSL, not the AAPTEL. If you put it in there, guess what? We have to go in, we have to manually remove those things. Then we have to send you a message telling you that you've not put it in the right place. I've probably had to do it about 10 times this weekend and today. And I hold my breath, and I look up and I say, thank you, Lord, it's a beautiful day. But deep inside, I want to say something else, because it's aggravating that I have to stop and I have to take care of those things. Please, please, please pay attention to what you're doing. And with what Dr. Revis said, when you go in to put for your task 1 and for your peer review 1 and your peer review 2, that's 2 separate submissions in there. You've got 2 different people. You cannot put them, like Dr. Revis, in the same place, because guess what? It goes in there and it overrides what you've already put in there. And it's like you didn't do one of your assignments. It's what it appears to be. So please take care of that.
Right, we can only grade 1 peer review in the assignment Dropbox. So you're not getting credit for 1.
Well, if you put 1 in there and then you go back and put another one in there, it overrides the one that you've already put in there. So
exactly,
that's it. I think I'll come to Blackboard in just a minute. And okay, we've talked about, Dr. Revis, if you would talk about, and I had some students this time that I don't know if you got this confused or what, but I noticed with your when you submitted your peer reviews, you had a Zoom link in there. With that's okay that you did that, but that was not, that is coming up. And Dr. Revis, if you would talk about the AAPSL Task 1 and 2 Zoom conference link. And again, if you have done that already, if that applies to you and you've done it, then you'll need to take that same link and you'll need to submit it for an assignment that we're talking about for next week. That's coming up. But we're going to talk about this because this is something that's coming up next week, and you need to go ahead and begin thinking about it since you will have completed task 1 and 2.
Okay, so You want me to go ahead and talk about that
Yeah,
right now?
go ahead and talk about that. Yeah,
Okay.
just a second.
I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen if that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
Let's see. Dr. Stedman, help me. Where do I find that? Zoom
Okay.
Teams?
Yeah. No. Go to where they submit their peer reviews
Oh,
for final
right here.
grade.
Yeah. Okay.
No, not there.
Maybe I shouldn't do this one.
No, be still. Be still. Completed reviews right there.
Okay, here we go.
Complete
All
there.
right.
Go there and go down to the bottom.
Okay. Here are your here's where you put your Zoom link for your Zoom that you're going to do about AAPSL Task 1 and 2. Now, you may say, well, what do we do? What does that look like? We have some discussion starters or conversation starters, if you will. And I can't remember if they're in week 4 or 5. Let me look right quickly. They must be in week 5, Dr. Stedman. You think? The conversation starters? I don't see that. Let me back up. I don't see it at all. Anyway, what you're doing in this Zoom is you are having a discussion with each other about task 1 and task 2. What did you learn? What did you find the most difficult? Tell me a little bit about your PLC. I can send out those conversation starters. I don't know where they are just off the
It's
top
in
of
there.
my
I'll
head.
find them in a second.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's in week 4.
Is it in week 4? Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. It's
Thank-
in professional
Thanks, Kimberly.
dialogue starters. Yes, ma'am.
There we go. I just looked right over it. Thank you, Kimberly. Let's look at what that looks like. Now, what I don't want you to do, I do not want everybody to report out like you were reporting what happened in task 1, reporting what happened in task 2. What you're doing is describe your experience with leading the PLC. And as we've said before, you may be very a veteran PLC leader, or you may have been a grade level chair, or maybe you're even a sitting administrator. So, your experience in leading groups of people may be different from someone else who's never led anything. But talk about what you felt like went well, what you wish you had done differently, and share what you learned from leading your PLC. Remember, we're focusing on that leadership piece that you are doing. The data dive in task 2. Share what went well, what you learned about the available data, or what you learned about disaggregating the data. Did you have to redirect your PLC at any time? And if so, what kind of techniques did you use for that redirection? And then, and this is really important for leadership, how did you move that team to consensus on the most pressing need? Now, guys, you don't have to talk about all of these things. And quite honestly, if you do, you're going to run out of time because you only have a 30-minute. So, what you're going to do is select a Zoom leader. And the same person cannot be a Zoom leader twice without everybody having their turn. So somebody in your team needs to volunteer to be the Zoom leader. The Zoom master, I believe is what we call it.
Yeah.
And that's the person that is going to provide a structure, an agenda for the meeting. And that's the person who's going to help the group decide how we're going to discuss and have this dialogue. You may go round robin, starting with Kimberly first, Derek second, and Whitney third. And then the next time you had going to the next question, you switch around, however you want to do it. But That person sets the agenda. You've already, if you haven't already established your norms, you probably want to establish norms as a team, because this will be the first time you've officially Zoomed together. And you will do it a total of, is it 4 times in the semester, I think, Dr. Stedman. And so this gives you an opportunity for us to see how you lead your group of peers. It also gives us an opportunity for us to see how you engage in a professional dialogue. Now, guys, I know you may be frustrated to the hilt, but we don't want to hear about how hard this has been. Okay? We want to hear a professional dialogue using professional language and really addressing what you learned as a leader going through these 2 tasks. And we want you, it's kind of a processing and reflection time for you. Now, you also can look forward. What has been the biggest challenges of the program so far? We don't mind that, but we're trying to get at how you think you've grown in your leadership skills and anything else you wish to share. You can also talk about task 3 that we're going to introduce tonight, if you want to, and talk about how you're going to organize or how you're thinking about doing that. But remember, it's a professional dialogue. And as the leader, you want to make sure that no one person dominates the conversation. Because isn't that aggravating when you're in a PLC? You know, one person just yap, 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 yap. And then I will tell you this, Kathy Revis sits back. I'm not going to vie for the floor. So you have to be very mindful, if you're the leader and the Zoom master, how are you going to make sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to share? And guys, be brief and to the point. Okay, let's talk about what you've learned going through these 2 tasks, and how, as a leader, and how that has helped you grow in your leadership skills.
Thank you, Dr. Revis. And again, we say AAPSL task 1 and 2 because those are the 2 that you will have completely finished. However, this is all about the AAPSL process. So anything that you want to discuss as a team about the AAPSL is appropriate and acceptable. Okay? Remember, this is not due this week. We're telling you this week so that you can plan ahead, you know, get things. This will be due at the end of week 5 next week.
Dr. Stedman, do we have a Thursday night Zoom next week?
No, we do not.
So there you go, guys. Think about that. You can use Thursday night if you wish to set that up, but be well prepared. Everybody needs to come to this Zoom well prepared to have a professional dialogue. Okay?
Okay. Does everybody, you understand now what your task is for the AAPSL Zoom conference? You know what you've got to do. Okay. And
I have a question, Dr. Stedman and Dr. Revis.
Okay.
You said to add the Zoom link. So the Zoom master is going to actually record that conversation and
yes.
then add that. And we need to limit it to 30 minutes. Is that correct?
Well, some of you have, and I would say try to, but if you need to go more, it's okay, Kim. Some of you have access, you know, further access to things, and if you can do it more, and some do, you can do it more. I think it's 40 minutes, Dr. Revis, that
Okay.
with the student Zoom account. But some of you have other access. It's okay if it takes longer than that. But whoever the Zoom master is, they're responsible for recording and then uploading the video into into a YouTube video, and then sending out the link to everybody. Now, this is where the difference is. All of you will have the same link in a team that will come to us. The difference will be when Dr. Revis and I look at them, we will look at each individual in that team, and your grade will be based not because you showed up, will be based on your participation and how you and how everything went in that presentation. Okay.
So thank you, Kim, for reminding us about those logistics. I'm sorry I forgot this piece, and it's a very vital piece. Now look where I went. Dr. Stedman, look exactly where I went here.
You went to the AAPSL, didn't you?
I did.
It's easy to do.
Okay. Everybody has to take that Zoom link and drop it in here. Let's say, for example, Kim Davis is the Zoom master. She's going to record. She's going to put it in YouTube and send out that link for everybody in her team to come here and upload it. Okay. If you don't upload it, you don't get it. You can't get a grade for it. That's just simple. But that's kind of important information. Thanks, Kim.
Okay. So Dr. Revis, if you will stop share.
Sure.
And then I want us to, and let me start share again. Okay, this is, let me minimize that. And then let me bring up template. Okay, this is what I want. We want to introduce you to task 3. Now, task 3 of the prompt. This is a pretty comprehensive task. There's a lot of writing that goes into this and a lot of research. And this is what I want to say. In task 1, remember your whole focus was on setting up a PLC, making sure that you understood exactly what it is that you would be doing, helping your team understand after you had established your team, setting up norms, what your weekly meetings were going to look like when you met with them. And then when you went to task 2, remember your main job was to look at the strategies for how you were going to begin collecting the data that the sources for the data that you were going to be working with. And then you put all that data with your team out on the table, everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you began to dissect it. You analyzed it. You everything that that you could find on there, and then you came back with your team, and based on what the data said, based on everything that you saw, you decided the data said that our biggest problem is blah, 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 whatever it was. That would be the most pressing need. Okay. Now, before I go any further, remember, you've got to do your presentation. You got to get that back to us this week and proof of that when you resubmit your task 2. So just remember that. So you've identified that most pressing need. That's where we are. And, and I relate this to like, let's just say that somebody's got a sickness. There's a sickness. And you go to the doctor, and the doctor has to look at, and the doctor looks at cannot immediately identify what it is. So he has to look, or he or she has to look at everything to determine, exactly what that sickness is. And they finally pinpoint it. This is the sickness. So you've identified, let's call it, for lack of a better term, you've identified the sickness at your school right now, based on your disaggregated data, your data dive. Now, in task 3, you've got to find a way to heal that sickness. there's a sickness there. You got to find a way to heal it. You can't just give medicine without knowing, what you're working with. So you're going to do the research to find the best medicine that you can find to take care of your identified sickness, your identified problem. So that's where we are in task 3. We're doing research. We're looking for everything that we can find to help with that identified most pressing need in task 3. So everything that we talk about from this point, everything points directly to that most pressing need that you've talked about in task 2. So Dr. Revis, if you would pick up from there.
If you don't mind, let me share my screen, Dr. Simmons, because
Okay,
I'm
sure,
going
sure.
to pop
Okay,
out
sure.
of this.
Okay, good. Okay,
I'm going to start here,
okay,
and then I'm going to show them Bulldog 1 searches.
okay, got you. I forgot we had talked about that. Okay.
Yeah, it may take me just a second to get down here to task 3. Task 3 is a lot of writing. It's where you do your research. And I'm going to tell you guys, in education, we're awfully bad. We identify the problem, we do a data dive, and we start trying to problem solve, find solutions. And the one thing that we forget to do or don't do for whatever reason, maybe we don't know how to do it, maybe we don't have time to do it, we don't look at what the educational research says about that problem. So you're doing 2 things. You're researching in 2 different ways in task 3. And it doesn't matter to us whether you do an annotated bibliography first or whether you do a mini research section, or sometimes we call it a literature review. I think it makes more sense to do that, an annotated bibliography first, but you don't have to. You can start with your mini research section. Excuse me. Now, in your edit, what's the difference? You may say, what is the difference between those 2 things? So let me go and pull this up. I want to show you an example of each. This is an annotated bibliography.
Okay, we don't see it, Dr. Revis.
Okay, thank you. I probably am going to have to do a new share, maybe.
No, you minimize and then pull it up.
Okay.
Just minimize what you've got on the screen. And then
Pull it up.
it should pull up, yes.
Can you see it now?
No.
Well, darn.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Let me stop share.
Okay, and then just pull it up again, start share again and pull it up and see if it'll come up there.
See it now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. All right. This is an annotated bibliography. When I'm doing this, I'm researching solutions. All right. So you notice this is a reference, just like you would write in your reference section. Same format. Author, authors in this case, date. This is the title of a book, I think. And notice even my book titles, I only capitalized the first word. We're still having issues with that. And of course, the publisher. So notice I've got a hanging indent here on my second line, correct? Just like I do in my references. The other thing that's kind of crazy with an annotated bibliography is this whole text comes under that left indent, left justified. Now, one entry, one resource. And then what do I do with that? Well, you're talking about and reporting out what you learned from this resource about your most pressing need. Okay. And the two authors did an amazing job outlining several known issues and recent trends in education. They directed their readers' attention to profoundly relevant and sometimes controversial topics. The main purpose of evaluating this source was to consider the author's position on how teaching devices impact instruction for students with disabilities. This particular person, their biggest need was students with disabilities performance. And then they go on to talk about some possible solutions that this author offered. Okay. So one reference, one resource, a description, and how it relates to your need. That's why you researched it. All right.
And Dr. Revis, let me remind you, do not just copy and paste. Because if you do, guess what that's called? That's called plagiarism. When you turn this in to turn it in, it's going to send us directly there, and we're going to know that this was directly copied from a resource. You have to put it in your own words.
And remember, if you use a direct quote, which we like for you to use those very sparingly, then you have to add a page number. And notice my period goes at the end, not at the end of the sentence like we like to do always. It goes at the end where you're citing a page number. So again, you're synthesizing. You're synthesizing what you read. Synthesizing is a higher order thinking skill. So this is going to take you some time. Guess what, friends? You've got to do 8 of these. 8. 5 of them have to be regular resources, and 3 of them need to be online resources. I'll go back to the helpful hints here in a moment if I can find my way back there. Now I want to show you about a literature review. This is what you did in the first section on PLC research. Okay, here you are looking into the area of need. What causes or what are some issues surrounding students with disabilities? So you're doing a little mini research paper, and you have to have 3 resources here, 3 distinctly different resources.
A minimum of 3 references.
Right. A minimum of 3. Now, I didn't put the whole thing down here. I just copied one paragraph, but here we go. That darn old APA stuff again, right? And so we should see 3 distinct authors here. Now, the way I like to approach is I like to think about my literature review is I'm delving into the issue. I want to find out some background information. I'm building background knowledge about my area of need. For example, several of you talked about that 4th grade reading or let's say 5th grade reading comprehension was an issue. Well, I am going to do my literature review on reading comprehension in elementary schools. And I'm going to try to understand everything I can in a very brief review about reading comprehension. Now, if you do that research, you're going to find very quickly that reading comprehension is children who struggle with reading comprehension many times, most oftentimes, have issues with fluency, vocabulary development, right? And probably some phonics and phonemic awareness. And that's what you're going to find in the research, probably. You may find other things, but you got to understand the problem before you start talking about solutions. So the literature is about the problem, literature reviews about the problem. The annotated bibliography is about solutions. Say that one more time. Literature review is a research on the area of need, the problem. You've got to understand the problem. The annotated bibliography is research on the solutions, possible solutions. Okay, so if you will, hold up your fingers. How many resources do I need for my literature review on the problem? Very good, 3, you got it. Annotated bibliography, I need 8. 5 regular, and I'll show you the difference, and 3 online solutions. I don't know how to say it other than regular. Maybe 3 non-online solutions would be a way we could say it. I'm not sure. Well, where do you get this information? Well, boy, I'm going to try to stop sharing and see if I can go back again and pick up.
Okay, Dr. Revis, while you're looking at that, are you going to Bulldog Search now?
Yeah, I was going to.
Okay,
You want to do
while
something
you're doing
else?
that, let me talk about why she's going there. When you go to your AAPSL helpful hints, just remember that again, when you talk about including a minimum of 5 regular resources and a minimum of 3 online, the online resources are to be technology research-based programs. And examples of those would be things that you're using in your school. Most of you are familiar with Study Island. Study Island is an online technology research evidence-based program, and it comes full. If you get into Study Island, and I'm just using that as an example, it's got all kinds of stuff built into the program that will give you your visuals, everything else that you need, to justify the use of it. It shows you the research, the validity and the reliability of the research is what it shows you. Others may be, some of you may use Edmentum, others Plato. One of the old ones from old school is Accelerated Reader. There are so many programs out there. What is it? Edgenuity. I mean, you can probably name a million things yourself. But that's and in your, when you go back to your AAPSL example that we have provided you, it actually shows those the research, the mini research that was done with the 3 references there. It actually shows you the 8 for the annotated bibliography. It shows you the format from that. It shows you already 5 regular sources. It shows you examples of 3 online resources. So use those things that we have provided for you to look at. Those are good models to follow. Y'all, there's so much stuff out there, you can't even keep up with it hardly anymore that's online.
No, you can't, and I can't keep up with where I've lost my Gardner Webb. So you want to go ahead and let me stop share and talk a little bit more about the helpful hints, and let me get back on my Gardner Webb
Okay,
website.
You do that, and then
Okay.
let me pull that back up just to make sure if you've got any questions about. Okay. Make sure if you've got any questions about anything. Can you see my screen? Can everybody see my screen? Okay, and this is where we're talking about. And again, once you do all of, I can't get it to come down. There it is. Once you do all, and there's the example that Dr. Revis has talked about. Now, once you do all of that, Dr. Revis, while you're looking at that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about that is all of prompt 1. Then we go to prompt 2. You're going to have, this is another example of what you've got. Once you have done all of prompt 1, you're going to go to prompt 2, and this is what it tells you. Please note in the prompt directives that the candidate is responsible for detailing how the PLC created and used multiple graphic organizers and visuals, such as charts, graphs, tables, timelines, etc. What you're doing with the annotated bibliography, specifically with the online resources, you're going to look at a minimum of 3 online resources, because what you're going to do is you're going to make a recommendation to your administration, you know, that if money was available, we as a team really feel like that this could make a big difference in helping us to solve or work with that identified problem that we found in task 2. You're going to show stuff. You're writing about it up in task 1. Now you're going to show it. Let's just say that if, again, let me go back to Study Island. Let's say that you decided that Study Island was what you felt like was going to be needed for your school. Well, then you're going to show some research, some embedded visuals based on what the research says about Study Island. And again, they're built into these programs. You don't have to create stuff. You pull stuff, you extract it from the programs. Let me show you this. Absolutely. Let me come up here. This is the, okay, here it is. Okay. This is the literature review. This is the sample in your book. This is the literature review that was done on your identified problem. This is the annotated bibliography showing the 5 regular examples. All are focused on your problem. And then let's come on down here. You see how they've done that, and then they've identified online digital tools for teachers and students, educational hip hop, vocabulary. I want you to pay attention to that. It talks about vocabulary, and then it talks about, it has other, and all of this is in alphabetical order. There's Study Island. But then I want you to see what has happened. They've talked about those 3 online resources, but when they come to prompt 2, they start out with their narrative work. Based on our collaborative data analysis, the PLC determined that our most pressing need, again, is to build time into 5th grade daily small group lessons to reteach, and then it's different. So it's talking about the but look what they've done. Remember, we talked about vocabulary up there. Guess what? They have decided that vocabulary is something that they feel like is going to help them with that identified problem. So this is where they're talking more in visual terms about vocabulary. So they're putting some graphics in there to help us better understand, you know, an online tool that is needed and they won't use. Look there, the bubble maps, Study Island bubble maps. They're talking about that. Those are some tools that can be used. But then I want you to look here what they've done. These are the three online tools that they have discussed. They've talked about mystery science, they've talked about Study Island, and they've talked about vocabulary. Then look what they've done over here to the side. They have done a comparison, you know, with mystery science. Is it interactive? Is Study Island interactive? Is vocabulary interactive? All of them are. So that, you know, all of them are alike when it comes to that. Are they aligned with the standards, with the standard course of study? All 3 of them are. Then look at it. Is it grade specific? Guess what? Mystery science is not. The island is. Vocabulary is not. Is it leveled based on student responses? Only one of them was. Then is it affordable? Can you pay for it? You don't want to recommend something that the school cannot possibly pay for through Title I funds or whatever. Mystery science is affordable, and vocabulary is affordable. Many times those online resources are free. They're already on there. But Study Island's going to cost money. So guess what? It may not be affordable. Student practice, does it provide student practice? Study Island did. And then is it hands-on? Mystery science was hands-on, but the others weren't. So they did an analysis of all of the interactive programs that they talked about in their annotated bibliography. And they used this to decide on what they felt like based on what they could afford, what would work, or what. This was how they determined their recommendation, that to help with the identified problem. Dr. Revis?
And yeah, personally, I like to see this
I do too.
comparison tool. That should be one of the last graphics that you have in prompt 2, because I like to see this, and then I like to see a summary after it. This is a visual that helps me kind of determine what kind of analysis that you and your team did.
Oh, and
And
it's going to help you tremendously.
Yeah, you can use, I don't mind if you even use what's in the columns. Is it interactive student? But you probably were going to have different programs there, but you can use some of those same indicators, but really, you can let your PLC decide how they're going to evaluate the different programs.
Right. And again, this is an example, you to follow a sample, but I would have something very similar to this in my work. And again, these may be some of the same, they may be some different. That's okay. You decide, what works best for you. But I would have something if it were me. Okay. So again, with task 3, you're doing an annotated bibliography, you're doing a literature review, and all of it is focused on your identified problem from most pressing need from task 2. And once you have done your annotated bibliography with your 3 online resources, you're going to further talk about that in prompt 2, and you're going to show us some stuff. And then you're going to make a decision based on what you have, what you feel like is going to be the best recommendation that you can make to your administration and the team, based on your research. And you've got to talk about this, so you need to understand it. Okay.
All right, let's go talk about research and where to find some research. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully, I'm sharing my screen.
Let me stop my share.
Okay. Can you see my screen, Dr. Stedman?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Thank goodness. All right. Now, you can use any of the resources that you find in your course shell, any of them, but I don't think that's going to help you here. What you have to go to is this library tab. Okay. Now, anytime you're in your course shell, that library tab is available. So we're going to click on it, and you're going to land on this page from this particular link. And I'm going to go to the library homepage. All right. Library homepage. I'm going to be doing a Bulldog 1 search. It's right here. Now, they've changed things around a little bit, and you can go in and specifically search specific databases. I'm not going to do that right now because you can really tie some time up. I'm just going to search all resources. And okay. And remember my issue, my greatest need was causes of poor reading comprehension. If I could spell and type and all that. Okay, let's see what we come up with. Okay. I get 26 results from that particular search. You can mess around with your searches and you could take off causes of and just put poor reading comprehension. But remember, we're first trying to do some research on what causes poor reading comprehension. So I get 26 results. If I wanted to go down through here and filter it, I could only look at the last 5 years. Let's see what happens to my search number of articles. It goes down to 6. So let's keep with the last 5 years. Now, if you pull up something and it only has 6 results, you may have to span the whole 10 years. You want to always look at your most recent research. And I always want to go right here. I want always full text online because, friends, you don't have time to, try to go to the vocabulary or to add results beyond your vocabulary collection. I want to look at stuff that I can get. And all 6 of those happen to be full text online. So reading comprehension and vocabulary knowledge. Wow, didn't we talk about that? Poverty. We know poverty is a big issue, overarching to many problems of low achievement. And so, you can go down through there. Here we go, causes and consequences. Investigating reading challenges faced by, I'm assuming that's your second language learners and so on. Now, if you don't see what you like here, or you don't feel like you're really getting the root causes, you can go on back to 10 years. And again, you're going to see things about, poor fluency, poor phonics instruction, poor phonemic awareness. Anyway, I'm doing a search to investigate the causes of poor reading comprehension. Now, let me stop right here. Some of you identified a need, at least in my class, Dr. Stedman, that I'm afraid is too broad. So, some of you, I think one of you talked about the bubble kids. Guys, we all know who the bubble kids are, don't we? Those are those children who are right on the cusp of scoring at grade level. But I'm afraid if you try to do a search in educational literature about cusp children or on the edge children, you're not going to get what you need. So you're going to have to get creative in your searches. Now, so I've searched about causes. Excuse me. Now I find out in my research that vocabulary development is one of my solutions that I need to be searching for. So let's look what happens there. Oh my word, I've got 19,000, almost 20,000 hits. Definitely, I want to stay with full text online. And then here's where it's very important. Go ahead and get the last 5 years. You may even want to go only back 3 years. And you've still got an enormous amount of results, almost 10,000. Then you can start looking here, the type. You want to stay with journal articles. I would exclude newspaper articles. You can look at dissertations and theses if you want to, books and ebooks. Are you really going to have time to read those? I don't think so. And so you start narrowing down, and you still got many more results than you could possibly deal with. You can go on down and narrow those on out, but you know, you may want to take out dissertations and theses and just really see what you get down to. You still got 8,000 results. So shoot, I may want to go to the last 3 years, see what that gets me. You still got 5,000 results. So I think you've got plenty of information. Now, one thing you're not going to find here is you're not going to find much about specific online digital tools. You will find general things about student learning in a digital environment, but it's not going to give you those specific online digital tools. I would say, and I really hate to say this, it kind of hurts me, you're just going to probably have to do a Google search on that. Or you've probably heard of several online tools. Now, Dr. Stedman.
Yes.
If my school has vocabulary, but we're not really using it. Nobody uses it. We've had it for a long time. Can I put that down as one of my online tools?
Yes.
If you're not actively using it.
Yes.
If you're actively using it in your school, you can't use that as one of your 3 online tools. Why, you say? Well, guys, if you're using it and your performance is still not where you need it to be, it must not be working. Okay. Most often, it's not that issue. It's an issue of fidelity implementation. We all know that. But if you're already using it, then select something else. If it's been bought, but people aren't really using it, or let's say you suspect that there's a fidelity of implementation issue, you can put that in there, but you need to explain it. All right. So, Bulldog One searches. How comfortable are you feeling, thumbs up or thumbs down, with being able to go to the Dover Library and look up some research? Thumbs up or down? Now listen, guys, you're just going to have to play with it. You know how that is. Just go in there and start playing with it and use different search words and, you know, just play with it a little bit. And you'll be able to find, first, you want to learn about your root causes of your issue. Secondly, you're looking for solutions. Dr. Stedman?
Okay. I was responding on, okay, I'm just thinking, I think we have, I was just looking at our agenda. Okay, we've covered, again, we need to make sure that you understand again, Dr. Revis has asked this. Everybody understands with task 3. Again, does anybody have any questions about what your responsibilities are this week? Now, you're not presenting to your administration at this point, not with task 3. When you get to task 4, then when you do your action plan, you will incorporate task 3 work into your action plan. That's when you talk to them about this online resource that you would like to recommend. That's when you talk about all that, when you make your presentation at the end of task 4. With task 3, you're only working with your PLC, and the majority of what you do is you will be working more independently with your task 3 work and sharing it with your PLC. A lot of this you're going to have to do on your own. They don't do this for you. They can give you some recommendations, but you're going to have to work a lot of this on your own and then share it with your PLC. Okay, Jessica? Okay.
Sorry, I
can-
couldn't find the mute button.
okay.
Sorry, I couldn't find the mute button. Okay, so my district last year just bought a program through Scholastic, and of course, we didn't get the materials until April. So this is our first full year, so I can't use that, can I? For our pressing need as one of our resources.
Ooh. How far are you into it, Jessica?
We haven't started yet.
Okay, then you can use it.
Okay, because we're doing, anyway,
Yeah, you
my
can
district is one that buys us tons of resources, so
can use
I'm
it.
not working it out.
And then what I would do, Jessica, in my research, I would look at that comprehensively, and I would look at, because a lot of times they buy things in stages,
Mhm.
and I would look to see what other components are there, because there may be something that goes with that program that you don't even have that would better help you with your identified need. Okay?
Okay.
Or conversely, Jessica, in your research, you may find out that it doesn't even address your most pressing need. And if your district likes to throw resources at you, you know, we've got all this COVID money, ESSER money. I know you hear that a lot. You know, maybe maybe they'll buy you something else. Who knows? But at least that research can either validate that
Okay.
you are using the right program, you are spending your time. See, guys, we're so busy as educators. Why would we spend our time doing something that doesn't even address our need? But we do it all the time. Any other questions?
Okay, I think Sarah had a question.
Okay, so if we have a program like I'm doing the multi-language students or English language, it changes names all the time. And we use Achieve for our school, but we don't use it for the MMLs like it could be used. So can I use that for them specifically?
Go ahead.
Like there's a
Dr.
whole nother part that's not used.
I would think so, Sarah, specifically if you can find that research and show in your graphs, in your figures, in your data, in prompt 2 that it really does meet a need, or like Dr. Stedman said earlier, if there's a component that you're not using but could use that would really meet that need, then yeah.
Okay, and then we used to, they used to offer the PSYOP training and they don't anymore. So can I use that as one of my like non-online resources?
Very definitely.
Okay.
I hate to hear your district drop that.
Okay, other questions?
Guys, I'm not catching the
Hey,
chat bar, so.
Kristen?
Sorry, I was trying to hit the mute. I had put this in the chat, but I realized we weren't looking there, and that's okay. So my district has purchased iReady, and we typically use that with reading and math. And that's the path that most of them, but there's a whole nother level of language, grammar, and writing components to that addresses some of, I think it may address some of our needs, our most pressing needs. Based on our research, we did really well with the reading, but when we added in language, we had a big drop in all 3 grade levels. So I was wondering if I could utilize that.
And what I would say, Christian, I would say that my district already uses iReady, blah, 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 in the following areas. However, you know,
Okay.
there are areas that we don't, and identify what those areas are. And you can, yes, you can take it to the next level. Wouldn't you say
Okay.
so, Dr. Revis?
I would say so, and definitely, Kristen, one of the things you're going to find in your research, I think, is going to be that when you add a strong writing program in your school, it will bring up reading scores as quickly, or if not quicker, than anything you do.
Right.
I think you'll find that in your research, and there's your justification.
Yes.
I
Okay.
do
Okay.
too. I do.
Thank you.
And Alicia?
Yes, my question is, we just started using foundations in third grade. It was just for K through 2, and we just started doing that. Can I use that
Okay, when did you start it?
at the beginning of the year?
That's not an online resource, is it?
Yes, it is.
Is it? Okay, okay.
Um,
Well, let me ask you this. Go through your research. Do your
And it-
research first.
if your research aligns itself with that, then since you have, I mean, school's just started, then I would say yes.
Okay.
But make sure, don't do it just because it's there. Make sure that it does align with your most pressing need. Okay?
And then I'm jumping ahead of myself, and
Go ahead.
Lisa. One of the things you can make sure you do, if you use that, if your research says that that addresses your need, one of the things you can do when you develop your action plan is talk about that ongoing professional development and monitoring of implementation. Okay.
Okay.
But that's in task 4, so don't worry about that right now. I'm sorry.
This is Tori. We're using M-Class, which is real. It has some of the areas just like Dibbles. So I use the 21, 22 data. So can I use M-Class because it has some of the same areas in M-Class, even though this is our first year using it?
Okay, how long have y'all been using M-Class, Tori?
We just started using M-Class.
So M-Class was not used prior to this year.
Right, even though it has 2 of those, well, they have, with the second grade data that I'm covering, I'm just trying to, it has oral reading, it has oral.
No, what I was asking, your school did not use M-Class last school year is what you're saying.
No, they did not.
Okay, then yes, it'd be the same way, same thing that I told Andrelicia, but make sure that not just because you have it, it must align based on your research, and it must align with your most pressing need.
Yeah, because we looked at the data, we pulled the data this morning, actually. And we pulled the data and it says, it says Dibbles.
Okay, well, as long as it aligns, and you've just started it, then we'll accept that. Okay, Kim?
So my question is a little bit more general. I just want to make sure I'm clear that in the literature review research, we're looking at the possible causes of the most pressing need that we identified.
That's
And
it.
then in the annotated bibliography, I am researching best practices that would address that most pressing need. Is that correct?
You got it.
So I'm looking at teaching instructional strategies as well as those online resources to address and possibly eliminate our most pressing need. Is that correct?
We couldn't have said it
Perfect.
any better.
Okay, thank you.
And remember, you have to have 8 annotated bibliographies for possible solutions. 3 of them have
Right.
to be digital resources. Okay.
Okay, and does the order of I know in the helpful hints, the annotated bibliography with the possible solutions is listed first. Do you want us to, again, just follow that format?
Yeah, let's do that. It's easier for us.
Okay.
Sometimes it's hard for me to tell when I'm going through what's online and what's not. Now, one thing, thanks for bringing up the order. Remember, your annotated bibliography is just like a reference page. It needs to be in alphabetical order. You do the 5 non-onlines, then do the 3 onlines. Okay.
Okay. And we're going to continue to submit tasks, like just task 2 final without task 1, and then we'll do separately task 3, submitting that.
Yes.
But we keep that title page at the beginning of each of the tasks.
I don't care about that.
And I
Okay.
don't either. You'll put it together at the very end.
Okay.
When you do that, that's good. Okay, Sandra?
So my challenge is this: I'm listening to everyone talk about this software and the programs. The PLC that I have, we have a program that we have no data on. We have a program that in our school, it doesn't exist. So we're having to create a resource whereby we will start collecting this data. In the stuff that was in my paper, and I'm still trying to get a response as to, are we going to talk about that after this, based upon the email that I sent earlier? Because trying to follow math and all the English and MLLs, I'm not that department. I'm an elective PLC with a program that's new, and we have no data. We're trying to create it from scratch. We're trying to come up with something that will reflect district-wide where we plug into. So
Sandra,
I'm
okay,
having a challenge understanding from, where I am, how this is going to work in my writing. So that's the challenge I'm having, and I'm not hearing what I need to hear.
Okay, why don't you plan to say just a little bit later, and with me, Dr. Stibben, we'll see if we can't talk about your specific need there. Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, any other questions?
Guys, if you have questions.
Okay, and
I do
Alicia,
have another question. This is not on task 3, but this is our peer review that so when do we upload our final peer review? Do we still do that in
they're due every Tuesday before class starts at 7 o'clock.
okay.
And we really don't give redos on or revisions on peer reviews.
No,
Okay, so I need to upload, because I thought once we uploaded, I thought we had no, because they would do they are due on Tuesday. You're right.
Mm.
Sorry
Okay.
about that.
and Alicia,
Let me get that done.
So my question is, is it 11 or 8 references?
there are
Total.
there are 8 for your annotated bibliography, 5 regular, 3 online, and then there are a minimum of 3 for your mini research paper.
Okay, so
which is a total of 11.
So it is
Yeah.
11. Okay, I just wanted to
11,
make sure.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay. Is there another question?
Guys, this is a lot of writing and researching this week. All right,
You said we're not meeting on Thursday, or we are
No,
meeting on this
we
Thursday?
are meeting this Thursday.
Thursday.
And if you look in Blackboard under your week 4 agenda, all of that information is on there. There's a lot of stuff on there that will help you with the week. It's under week 4, your week 4 agenda. Okay. Okay, we will see.
Just one. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Sandy.
Sandy.
Okay.
Okay. Just to clarify, we're using 3 data points. Is it 3 data points that we've had that we're using or 3 of our resources? Is that what I'm understanding? The when someone was talking about M-Class and
Those are online resources.
okay.
So that would be, you're looking at 3 online resources as a part of your annotated bibliography.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, got you. Okay.
So I guess, guys, Sandra's going to stay and we're going to talk. If anybody else needs to, we can do that. But if you're good to go, please don't wait till the weekend to ask questions.
Can I ask one quick question? If we want to use things like graphic organizers or Frayer models to help with vocab, can that count as a non-online if we have the research to back up that that's?
Sure,
Yes.
Okay,
of course.
okay, awesome.
Graphic organizers should be in your. Sandra, you take care.
All right. Good
Bye,
night.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.